Why can't, if that's how you know, which happens, it's pretty common, I'm not a morning person, I am not.
I hear you.
Ugh, hate it.
I sent it to you. Did you get it? I can copy it too.
So 3C.
Oh, I have that, I have
Three?
that.
I'll catch you.
But what about,
Three
rows? I put theirs in my slide.
C.
Oh, yeah.
Check it out.
You know,
The thing is
I was
that,
able to find this November.
Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
oh, no oxygen.
Yeah, no.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, yes, I mean. Oh, she looks so good.
Are you having a baby fever? Yeah.
She-
Hey.
Does she have medicine? No.
For those in the Zoom room, we'll start in just a few minutes.
You know. Oh.
Someone pops and shit.
We can be so. Alex, if you're gonna run the slides.
Yeah, I can pull those out.
Yeah, just a minute. Yeah.
Dean has his too.
I see. Yeah. What up, dude?
Like us.
I understand.
Hello, Alexi.
Yes.
Alexi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Why don't you go ahead and set up the interpretation channel now? I'm gonna use another connection to make the announcement.
Perfect. That has been started. Just a couple more people come in. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to those of you here in the room and those of you in the Zoom room. My name is Cac+Community and I'm your cater for the
Calm down, Lord.
the CAC. Tonight, we're combining the CAC with the Equestrian Center Task Force. So we're having two parts of the meeting today. We're glad everybody's here. Before we begin though, I would ask our interpretation partners to make an announcement.
Good evening, everyone. This is Francisco Picado. Nora Medina and I will be your interpreters tonight. And for those of you who have not used this service before, please click on the globe on the bottom right of your screen and select the language of your choice. Buenas noches a todos y bienvenidos. Yo soy Francisco Picado de Language Access LLC. Nora Medina y yo seremos sus intérpretes esta noche, y para aquellos de ustedes que no han usado este servicio antes, por favor seleccione, pulse el globito de la interpretación en la parte inferior derecha de su pantalla y seleccione el idioma de su preferencia. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you. As usual with each of our meetings, we like to spend some time just knowing who's in the room. So I think we'll start with in the room introductions, just if you give your name and who you're affiliated with. And also we'll move to the screen. We'll start over here.
Yeah, hey, everybody. My name is Brendan Renford. I'm the Director of Program Impact at Focus Points Family Resource Center.
Oh, I did want to add an icebreaker. I'm so sorry, but one of the icebreakers I would like for you to say with your name is Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving or after. Oh. Add a little love to our November meeting. Brandon, you're first up.
I don't know. I personally like have no decoration.
Oh, yeah.
If I have like, if there's like the opposite of a hoarder disorder, I have it because I just like can't stand having things. But as far as like seeing decorations out and about, because after Thanksgiving would be nice. Give each holidays time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Brianna Monteros, Community Engagement Specialist with Metro Water Recovery. Definitely after Thanksgiving.
Maria?
Hola, soy María Cana, soy miembro de la comunidad.
I have to go with before Thanksgiving.
Kelvin community member. I'd say after.
Shannon Hoffman, I am with the Global Larry Swansea Community Investment Fund. And after, I like my pumpkin spice as long as I can have it.
Kristen Lang with the Mayor's Office of the National Western Center, Nwca, Program Manager. And I would say normally after, but I only have my girls part-time. And so this year, we're gonna do it this weekend. I had to talk them into it because I won't have them Thanksgiving weekend, so. You got it, we only have limited weekends, we gotta do it. Yeah, you have to decide if it's before or after for Christmas, and we go full gaudies. Like, easy as it can be, yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta introduce yourself, and then you're gonna say, I want Christmas decorations before or after.
I'm Matt, and I think Christmas decorations should be after Thanksgiving.
I'm Amanda, I'm a Global Community member and also a Global Community Connector for the Park People. I'm like the Lorax from GES and hardcore after Thanksgiving. And this is Z. He doesn't care. Yeah.
Mike Richard, Executive Director of the Mayor's Office of the National Western Center, absolutely after.
And we said Catherine Archuleta after.
Solid support with stock show, definitely after, and also trees and the lights stay until after the stock show.
My name is Alfonso Espino, from the area, live in Swansea, and I'm with the GS Coalition. I leave my lights on all year, so I'm not a part of that debate. But I do love Christmas.
Yeah.
Armando Payan, Globeville. What I like is the chilly Christmas lights, and it doesn't matter to me before or after. It's enlightening, it's enhancing, just to enhance the quality of life and spirit, and to share that with all.
Hi, everyone, Steve Nally, I'm Chief Real Estate Officer at the National Western Center Authority, and our family is after.
I'm Eduardo Gonzalez, I'm from CSU Spur. And mine's a little bit about a little nuance because I never celebrated Thanksgiving, so it was after Halloween that you do Christmas.
Oh.
And I also love Christmas, I love the lights, so after Halloween.
I am Lori Larita with National Western Center. My family chooses after Thanksgiving, I choose before. So, it's before.
So you win.
My name is Alexis Pelzari. I'm the project and office coordinator with the National Western Center. And my argument is before, because Christmas is a season, but Thanksgiving is a day.
So you're the one killing the text.
Everyone, Jenna Garcia, I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications here at the National Western Center. I would say before Thanksgiving, however, I haven't touched a single thing yet, so.
Maybe after.
Yeah, maybe after.
Yeah. Okay, how about you, Brian?
You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry, Brian Perry, with the Mayor's Office of National Western. And I am an after Thanksgiving person. Give each of the holidays their time to shine.
And Dan?
Dean.
Dean, I'm sorry.
Good evening, everyone. Dean Stamboulis, Chief Investment Officer with CH Hospitality. I'd say the company line is before Thanksgiving, but I'm personally an after Thanksgiving.
Angela?
Sorry, can't find the mute button.
Okay.
Angela Garcia, Global resident, and definitely after, although anymore, I just decorate my porch. Thank you.
Jen?
I am with Alfonso. Lights should just be up all the time. 12 months a year.
Christina?
Hi, I'm Christina Garcia. I'm with Birdseed Collective, and we currently run the Globeville Rec Center. And I'm definitely team November 1st for Christmas lights because we do not celebrate Thanksgiving as well.
Okay. Carolyn.
Caroline.
Thank you. Okay, Olivia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Olivia Castle. I work for McWhinney Real Estate. And although I don't put up my own Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving, I don't think it hurts.
Marcy?
Hi, Marcy Lockwood from Nwca. This year's a little different. Our lights are up, but they're not going to get turned on until after Thanksgiving. We took advantage of some warm weather to get on the roof.
Did I miss anybody? AE. Oh, AE, I didn't see, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm a small person, so I'm easy to miss. Anybody who knows me knows that's a joke. So I'm going to say that I would like to strongly advocate for the lights year-round with everybody, secular, but reflective of all of the wonderful things. And Hanukkah starts, I believe, on the 14th or 12th of December. And there's lots of wonderful rituals in lots of directions, and in celebration of all, I go for lights year-round, and anything anybody wants to do anytime, mystically non-secular, because we are a diverse society.
Thank you, AE. Bianca.
Everyone, Bianca Steer from Fengate. Yeah, I'm with Alfonso all year.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Rebecca.
Yeah, there you go, Rebecca.
Oh, hi. Also, it's Caroline. Sorry, I had to leave the meeting and rejoin for my microphone to work. So super sorry about that, everyone. But I would love my chance to answer this question real quick. So hi, Caroline Nwca, Globeville resident and community board member for the National Western Authority Board. I am also not a big Thanksgiving person, so I think that you can put up the lights in November if it starts snowing in November. This year, we might be out of luck on that one, so some of y'all might be waiting until a little later, but that's kind of how I think, because the lights look best when you have the snow with them.
Thank you. Rebecca?
Hello, Rebecca, longtime Globeville resident and also part of Globeville First. And I think I missed the question. So I know everybody's talking about lights, but I'm in the dark. So enlighten me.
That's Christmas lights before or after Thanksgiving?
Oh, that's before. I think traditionally we did after Thanksgiving, but now it's way before.
And so Brad, as the last person in the room, this question is to you. Do you want your Christmas lights up before or after Thanksgiving?
Day after,
Day after. Okay.
Friday, every year.
And then we did have Sandra and Nancy coming after.
Oh, there we go.
Nancy. And Anna.
Hi, my name is Nancy and I am from Nwca.
Sandra Ruiz from Global. Yeah, I'm in Global now. Yeah, from Global.
Lights up before or after Christmas?
This year, I don't think we're gonna have any lights.
Okay.
No spirit.
No, yeah. And then we did have a Haley. I don't know if we missed her. Haley.
Oh, Haley. Dean. I'm sorry, I can't. I missed-
Hi, I'm Haley from OV. I support the GES program of projects. I think as soon as daylight saving times happen, we should get the lights up because it's way too dark at like 4 p.m. So I like the lights. Thank you.
Okay, Lori, did you want to say anything else?
No, thank you so much for bearing with that icebreaker. It's always fun to get some conversation going.
Yeah. Thanks, Lori. So we're gonna start off right away with the mayor's office of the National Western and Mike.
Great. Thank you. I know we have a couple slides before we get to this one. We have the other slides, Brian's map.
No, we just have it in this order. Should we go to? You want me to go forward?
Sure. Actually, I'm gonna steal a screen for a second.
Yeah, Marcy sent us.
I think Nora was.
It's an updated slide, but it's just the ribbon cutting.
Yeah, pull that up.
Okay.
And we'll start there.
Okay.
We are well organized, you can tell. Okay, I just want to start by announcing the official ribbon cutting for the Sue Anschutz Roberts Livestock Center. And you can't read this because it's very small. We will be sending this invite out to the CAC right after this meeting. But I just wanted to announce it. It is 2 weeks from Friday, so Friday, December 5th, at 1 o'clock, 1 to 2 p.m. The mayor, our city council member, and lots of other folks will be there to officially cut the ribbon. This is prior to the grand opening that the authority will be having. I'm sure you'll talk about that. But I just want to get it on folks' radar that this is sort of our official city celebration of the building being complete and us handing it over to the authority to operate and maintain the program. So that's on its way. And I wanted to give a quick update on Triangle, the Triangle planning process. As you may remember, we had some initial meetings with community organizations in October, got some really good feedback, and are in the process of incorporating that feedback and adjusting our engagement plan a little bit based on that. We will be coming back to that group in December with some of the updates to our process and with a sort of full public launch of the planning to happen in January. So more to come here in the next couple weeks. And with that, I will hand it over to Brian to walk us through the Globeville program of projects. Global response, sorry.
Nora from OV is actually going to present, and I'll take the last slide on the construction impacts. So go ahead, Nora.
I'm
Nora.
Just one moment to be sure. Hi, Nora, just one moment. Just to be sure that are there any questions for Mike?
Thank you.
Mr. Ramadan?
Yeah, Mike, there's been some PBS announcements, public broadcasting through the media and stuff, and talks about the solar that's happening on the National Western campus. And in there, you make a statement about how it's gonna benefit the neighborhood and stuff like that. Could you expand on that comment?
Sure, so that's the solar garden program through CASR, the climate action, sustainability, resiliency. I can forget that one, right? And so, and Brad, you may have some more details on this too. I know enough probably be dangerous, but the idea is that CASR helps facilitate the installation of solar panels and other renewable energy on city facilities. And there's a partnership with Excel to where the energy generated from those helps offset energy costs to low-income residents within the Denver metro area. So it's not a direct, the energy generated on our campus is going directly to local area Swansea residents, but the overall program is intended to use city facilities to provide that opportunity and then have that benefit go to low-income residents.
Do we know when the kickoff date is for that to take off?
That is a good question. I believe it's already in process.
It is, those PV panels have been running on the M&O building on SYC for a year now, putting electricity back into the grid. And that is calculated and contributes to a whole, I think they have like 10 different locations up and running now. Those two buildings are relatively small, so they're probably two of the smaller of the 10. They have a couple of them that are 5 or 6 times that size. And then it goes back, and then Excel has a program for low-income communities that they reduce the price of electricity that they sell to those communities.
So my understanding, it goes back to the substations within the neighborhood, well, throughout the city. And then it gets redistributed and then at a discounted rate.
Correct.
Basically, I mean,
I think that's
on a high level.
Yep.
That's, I just want to make sure I understand.
I think it would be helpful to know if and where that shows up on folks' energy bills and for us to be able to help Excel show and tell the story of how people are actually seeing that impact. So I will take that back with CASR and I can report back at a future meeting.
And that's Elizabeth, right? That's running that project.
She leads the department, yeah.
Any other comments or questions? I can't see any hands from the.
AE has.
Yeah, AE.
Questions?
You're on mute, AE. I'm still on mute.
The camera's on.
Can you hear me? I hit the wrong one.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
now
you're
can
on.
you, okay, sorry, listen, sorry, I apologize for the delay. Just for context, Mike, the measurables are critical and early on in the discussions of the National Western Center campus becoming its own utility, there were discussions of this value of helping the defray some of the costs of energy for the GES neighborhoods. And I understand that from what you're saying, this is going to be calculated and strategically being spread across the city, which I have no problem with. The project was approved initially by a citywide vote, so that's fine. But I think it should be remembered that part of the implied potential commitment was to see how there could be a measurable impact on defraying or reducing the costs of utilities by extending into the neighborhoods, Globeville, and Swansea, by extending the utility. And I think it is good to have a technical hierarchy shown in an engineering sense. It's very educational, but I just want to put that out there because those are calculations that can be presented, and there may be other ways that the utilities in Globeville and Swansea are being mitigated too. So just for context in the long view, I hope people will keep that in mind.
Hey, I want to ask Jenna a question. We just today, coincidentally, saw a dashboard that Cody on our team built that is tracking the energy production of the solar garden on the campus. Is that something, can we post that? Can we post a link of that on our
Sure,
website?
yeah, and Gina and Gina's on my team. We've been working with Corey to get kind of like a monthly report out so that we could post that to social media and stuff for the folks who are following us on those platforms. But it's definitely something that we want to talk more about once we've been kind of waiting for Corey to wrap his arms around all of it so that we could tell a holistic story, but most certainly we can.
It's interesting too, because it shows not just the two parts of the garden on this campus, but the citywide solar garden and each of the locations and what they're producing and the change seasonally. Because it's been tracking the data since it was started, but we just got access to it here in the last week or so.
Great. Are there any other questions or comments? All right, so, Mike.
We'll turn over to OV and Brian to walk us through this.
Hi, I'm Nora, new writer from OV, like Haley, working on behalf of Dottie and the GES program of projects. And I think all of these projects you've heard from before, but we wanted to touch on them again as a reminder of the activity that is upcoming in GES. So first project is the 51st Avenue, the 51st Avenue realignment project. Washington Street is the second project. The levee and the 48th Avenue outfall is the third one that we'll touch on. And then the GES Safer Streets project is the fourth. So the 51st Avenue realignment project realigns 51st across Washington Street to make it essentially straight. So there will no longer be a T at that location. The intent is to add pedestrian and bike amenities also. You probably have seen utility-related construction going on already. What that means is that the underground work on water, electrical, and cable has already started. So you're seeing some traffic impacts related to that. The actual realignment of 51st starts in early 2026 and will last into 2027. So more to come on that project. The second project, which also starts in earnest in early 2026, is the Washington Street project. This is a total do-over of Washington Street from 49th to 52nd. I suspect many of you have been hearing about the elements of this redo of Washington Street. It involves better pedestrian access on either side of the street, improve travel on the street itself, vegetation next to the pedestrian zones with green infrastructure, and places for people to meet and stroll and be in community together supporting small business. Now, this project also, you're seeing what I described as pre-construction, so utility work underground, getting the site ready for full construction, also starting in early 2026. So lots going on. Our third project is the Gloveville Levee and the 48th Avenue outfall. You have been seeing this construction ongoing for a while now. The levee is the flood protection wall on the west bank of the South Platte River, keeping Gloveville out of the floodplain. The second segment of that project is underway. And while that is being built, the 48th Avenue outfall, which takes stormwater out of Gloveville and puts it into the river, is also being built. So that picture that you see is the outfall itself. The outfall, which again takes the stormwater into and brings it to the river, is will ultimately also be a community space with an overlook and steps down to the river so people can get close to the river, plantings, and then a greenway extending west away from this location. So this construction is very much behind a fence. You're seeing some detours related to it, but it will continue through October of 2026. And our final project is not a construction project yet. This year, it was a planning project called the GES Safer Streets Project to plan small scale street safety improvements throughout GES to slow speeds, reduce cut through traffic, make pedestrian crossings safer, provide space for bicyclists and scooters, make bus stops more accessible, and add greenery. We're almost done with the 2025 planning. There's one last survey for you all to take. It's focused on Globeville. The link is right there on your screen. 2026 is when the project moves to design, and then very quickly thereafter in 2027, the projects move to construction and installation. So lots going on in 2026 in GES with more to come. You can always track the progress on these projects by going to the project website where all of these projects are aggregated and put together. And you can get there by going to bit.ly, so bit.ly /GES projects. And we update that regularly. But we just wanted to give you a quick update on active projects in the neighborhood. I'll turn it over to Brian.
Hi, everyone. This is
questions.
Yeah, but Brian, would you mind if we just stop for a minute and ask and have questions about the first three projects? Thank you, Armando.
Absolutely.
One quick comment, two quick comments, Nora.
Yeah.
You talk about one thing that I think is really cool is the levy, obviously. 60% of the homes in GES are over 100 years old. That being said, it's very difficult for homeowners to get insurance if your house is over 100 years old.
Yeah.
But with that levy being there, that's going to help the residents of Globeville explicitly because that takes those homes out of a flood barrier. So that should help.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if it's going to help in terms of the age of the age. I'm not sure if that's going to help in terms of insurability. I think that's one thing that we need to work on as a neighborhood collectively. The second thing is you talk about vegetation and resiliency.
Yeah.
I think there's a lack of focus. And I'll give you an example. At Garden Place Elementary School, we planted over 55 trees at the school. And the reason we planted those trees is because of the fact that, as you know, the trees combat carbon. And I think it's really important and critical that we put as many trees or vegetation that can combat the carbon in this neighborhood. Because obviously it's the most contaminated zip code in America. So if you could take that as some food for thought and part of your planning committee, but I think it's really critical. There's much vegetation that can combat the carbon that's produced from the highway, because there's over 400,000 to 500,000 cars coming through there on a daily basis. That would definitely help. That's the only two comments I have.
Yeah. Really, really appreciate those comments. And I think you, as I had, with regards to that location that you mentioned, the levee and the 48th Avenue outfall, as I mentioned, the surface of the stormwater pipe or culvert is intended to become a greenway with new plantings, vegetation, green infrastructure. So bit by bit, there is greening underway. Far more would be better, but there, at least at that location, that greening initiative is almost at 100% design. Yeah.
and another greening project would be Heron Pond and Carpenter City Park. There's going to be quite a bit of additional planting taking place there. That project is coming along and looking beautiful too. So,
AE, is your hand up again? Or is
Yeah,
that
yes. I'm gonna put in the chat a link, what Armando mentioned about the insurance rates, et cetera. There's a lot of discussion in the neighborhoods around floodplains and insurance and the mitigation. It's very important. There are some good resources. This is something, this link is very instructional, and it talks some about the FEMA classifications. I would encourage people to read the Heron Pond, the business plan for the park. Beth, I think you worked on that. There's some pretty extraordinary discussions of plants and things of that sort. And I'm going to beat the drum again for the 12th year that I would love to see some ginkgo biloba trees show up. Those are among they love hanging out with polluted air, and they're beautiful trees, just the male ones though, because the female ones are kind of a little bit pungent. So anyway, read the plan on that park. There's some great stuff in there about the botanicals, and that link will help conversations with insurance agents around the emergence of the floodplain control, and that might be a good way to help people welcome it too. When you put out the PR.
Thank you, AE.
I have a question. Yes. I don't know if it has to do with these projects, but I wanted to ask about street lights. They're gonna put more street lights on all of these projects, and Michael, who's responsible for that in the city, because we've been asking for street lights. Like in my block, there's only one light, and it's all the way in the other corner, so it's really dark. Who's gonna be doing that? Because we see all these new projects and everything's gonna be beautiful around these projects, but then we see our neighborhoods being the same, no lights, no, all the things that you already know. I don't want to repeat everything, but it's like, yeah, I mean, sometimes we're not against new projects, but we also want to see changes in our neighborhoods, like more streetlights, more sidewalks. I didn't want to say sidewalks because we've been repeating this forever, but how can we see those things also happening, not just around this new project? Yeah, there's gonna be more greening, there's gonna be more beautiful streets, but when are we gonna see changes in our neighborhoods, like in neighborhoods, like around our neighborhoods? When are we gonna start seeing those changes? Because I mean, sometimes we don't even want to be outside our homes because it's really dark. So who's responsible for that? Is there already a project that's gonna happen?
Yeah, I would ask Nora, do you have any information on the Safer Streets program and whether that can specifically address street lighting?
I don't believe it does, Nora. You can answer that.
Yeah, it doesn't specifically address street lighting. It is a comment, however, that we can take back through that project. The elements of GES Safer Streets really address street level, what they call interventions. But yeah, so unfortunately that project doesn't lend itself to that.
Okay.
A recommendation is a venue.
So then, to answer your question, I mean, it's sort of in between Dottie's responsibility and Excel Energy.
Yeah.
And Brad, I don't know if you have any information with your CPD hat on, if there's been any planning around additional street lighting in these neighborhoods.
I was gonna say I couldn't speak to it right now. I know with all of the new projects, there is street lighting planned for those, but I do have contacts that I can get a hold of. By the next meeting, I'll try to have an update for you just on what are those future plans, because Mike is right. It is a city / Excel. Both of them have to work together, and oftentimes it's Excel putting those in. So I'll try to have an answer for you on that topic by next.
Yeah, I know the majority of the lights GS are owned by Excel. There are very few that are owned by the city. Brian, can you also check to see if there was any of the last two bond projects that had any dollars in them for streetlights and GES?
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that. That is not a topic that I've heard a lot about. So I think it's a worthy topic to look into and to start advocating for. So I'll try to have a report by the next meeting.
Is it possible to have someone from Excel or someone that can really talk about the subject? Because when I hear safer streets, it means everything and mostly lights, street lights.
Yeah.
Because of the areas that we live, if we can have someone next meeting talking about that we can ask directly, and that way we know how that is going.
I'll look into that possibility too as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jen?
Hi, Sandra, thanks for bringing all that stuff up. I also want to circle, but we've been talking about getting the sidewalks fixed. The money was there for the bonds a while ago, and Mike, you said you were going to check into it. When are our sidewalks going to get fixed? That's another thing that we need to talk to.
Yeah, Brian, let's add that one to the list of coordination with Dottie to bring the right folks to speak to those dollars and where they've been deployed and where they still will be.
Yeah,
I know that hasn't come up.
I have a little more information on that. I know that that is a project that is moving into implementation. And I know one of the people that you guys may have worked with, Chris Callanan, he actually has moved to that program. So that project is moving forward. And I can get an update by the next meeting on where things stand with that.
Because it will be good to have like a certain deadline to see when it's gonna happen. Because we see that there's been some work on sidewalks, but it's always where there's a big project from the city, from the National Western, but we don't really see sidewalks happening in our neighborhood. So it will be great, like in meetings like this, we have people that can talk directly about the things that we've been asking for a long time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great point.
We asked about it since last year, or it's been 2 years, last year, over 10 years.
I have a question. Has the National Western Center benefited from that bond that passed for sidewalks? Did it tap into that as a resource to build some of the sidewalk infrastructure?
No.
Like along Bryan Boulevard or anything like that?
No.
Any further questions for Nora and Brian? Brian, did you have anything else you wanted to report?
Just the next slide is just the impact slide. So this is just current construction impacts that we're tracking. Nora already discussed on the left side, starting at the top, 51st Avenue project. If you've been over in that area, you've seen ongoing construction along 51st Avenue. That also that utility work also spills onto Washington as well. In particular, right now there is a closure from Washington to Emerson, so that is fully closed. So this map is not quite correct on that. So that little yellow should be red right there. Washington Street project as well has active utility construction up and down Washington. Right now, the largest disturbance or impact right now is on Denver Water. And they're approximately at 49th. They'll be there for the next week and a half. And then Excel moves in behind them. It's really on 51st and Washington, it's really going to be pretty packed construction. You really won't be able to tell much of a difference when it transitions from utility work into the actual construction. It's an area to avoid at all possible. We, as a city, are coordinating and working together to make sure that we are lessening impacts, not doubling up construction, so that people in traffic can flow through there as best as we can. So there's a lot of effort going on and a lot of different coordination meetings for that. So if you ever have any issues with that, feel free to reach out to me and I can address those issues with the contractors and the project managers for this as well. The levee project is listed here as well. There's a structure demolition coming up at 4825. This also lists the topic that we discussed in the last meeting, which was the upcoming trail access ramp removal at 45th Avenue. That is still slated for November, early December. They're just doing some enabling work and getting the detour ready for that. Over near Race and Vine at 48th and 49th, by the Vina development, there is the data center. The data center project has 49th closed. It is a single lane closure coming up. It will transition into a single lane closure. And then there's also a single lane closure on 48th from Race to York. And that's all I have for impacts. If anybody has any questions or comments or anything on construction impacts or anything like that, I can field any questions or comments.
Are you sharing that in social media?
Say again?
This map and that information? I don't know. Are we sharing this on social media? Or it's on our website, right?
It is not. This is not something we have shared. We have been sharing in the updates or on the website. But that is something that we have discussed doing moving forward.
Can I ask a question for Brian? Oh, we still have him.
Go ahead.
Brian, do you know what happened to the is it just because funding never came through again for the Josephine and York realignment project? That kind of dead.
In York realignment. I don't know anything about that. I've never heard of that actually, but
the city started like planning to reconfigure both of those streets into two ways because they're really dangerous portions between 40th to I-70. And CPD had started those conversations, but it seems like they just kind of went away. So I'm wondering if it sounds like it isn't under your umbrella, but it sounds like it would have been if it still existed.
It's not something that's been on my radar, but I certainly can look into it. This was specifically at Josephine and York around 40th, you said?
Yeah, because the city's like, they already repaved a lot of York, like Botanic Gardens, and they split the project into 3 phases. And the phase that I'm talking about is the phase between 40th light rail crossing all the way to I-70. That was like the 3rd phase. And it sounds like they just ran out of money, but I'm not sure.
Let me look into it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll report on that by next meeting.
I'm going to move us along a little bit. Are there other questions, or Brian, do you have more that you would like to share?
That's it.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Any further questions? AE has her. Okay, AE?
Yes, I just put another link regarding the sidewalk repairs. I'm 100% want to emphasize everybody's concern about the sidewalk repairs. For many years, there's been a conversational request for an interactive map of the sidewalk scheduling. There's this ARCIS interface thing I find very unuser friendly. I would really love it if people can look at that. There was an interactive street repair map on denvergov.org a while ago. I can't find it, but I think a huge part, hearing people say the same things over and over again for the last 15 years that I've been here, I think we really need to accept that information sharing about what is and isn't being done and how you can aggregate requests for specific repairs needs to be more user-friendly coming out of the communications from the city. So if somebody could please look at that ARCIS site and anything else, if we could get an interactive map, people could tell block by block when their streets are scheduled to be repaired, and you can put citations under which of the funds it's covered under, and it'll help us figure out gaps, and it'll help sort out what property owners and public money is for. By this time we should all understand this, but the communication of the data and the structure and the flow has just not matured. So I'm really hoping some of you guys that are doing the tech stuff can look at that and bring it forward.
Are you talking about the map that's currently on the GES Program of Projects site?
Why don't you put that link in there? I'm just talking in general about having a real-time updated map that is followed closely and is also layered with information that gives timelines so that a person block by block can know when something is being scheduled and if there is a funding gap that would prevent it. When the campaign was going on for the measures that are funding some of the sidewalk, one of the strategies was to ask for very specific sections to be repaired during the campaign. And I haven't seen those dots be connected, but we need it to be a much more, I hate to use the word transparent, but the data needs to be user-friendly so that we can look at our block by block and not have to go to general meetings and keep bringing up the general sensation of it just doesn't seem to be as progressing. This will help us see where the progress is, where it needs to come from, and where there might be gaps in funding or policy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And final question or comment, Angela?
Thank you, Catherine. In the future, could we have Chris Callahan come to these meetings and talk to us about the sidewalks? I think that would help a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, that I definitely have intention for that, and I've actually already asked him that. He's trying to get his feet underneath him for that. So that request is already put in, but I will follow up with him on that. I have been requesting this information on the sidewalk program as well, because I want to be able to pass that information on to you guys. So more to come on that.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it over to Lori for a community update.
Hi there. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you for all of the community partners and the community members that attended Trunk or Treat. We were able to serve minimum of 1,000 families or individuals, giving them candy. We Don't Waste will be here on December 5th, and we doubled the amount of families that we were able to serve, and they're hoping to increase those numbers and serve more families. They do have a new market that is in Commerce City, so if you want to take one of the flyers that I put out there for We Don't Waste, you can. If you're not able to come to this location, please consider going to any of their other locations that are near, that are in Denver. We do have Kenzie's Causes coming up. They will be opening up their sign up on December 4th. Any family in the GS community can apply, and they will get served with a present, a teddy bear, and they do have some bikes available. So please just sign up and have that resource for your families or anybody that you know that needs those services. It's really important to share those. Some of the things that we have upcoming is really just the CAC. We're going to be having a combined meeting next month with the Equestrian Center as well. It's going to be on December 10th from 5 to 7. There will not be a CAC in January. We will be in place having a reception and rodeo, which you should be getting your invitations early next week. And that will be from January 11th. We've got movie night with CSU Spur and Valdez Perry Library. They're going to be watching The Grinch. So that flyer is available, and I'll send a link where we've combined a lot of these community partner resources. And then we have some stock show tickets that will be offered and will be sent out to you, and it's for your families, for you guys to enjoy. There will be a sign up link for you and your families, and I will be sending that out probably not for another 2 weeks. And then we've had conversations about Market at the Center for 2022 or 2026. And our goal is to really work with more community providers and businesses to really keep this very local and have a lot of entertainment and activations for the families in the community. And the next 2 pictures, I just had some.
Do you want to mention the Scott Show free?
Yeah, so I was going to do it for next month, but we are still continuing our partnership with Garden Place as well as Nwca Elementary. And they are going to have 20 students that were on their high attendance and high grade that will be attending the stock show. And they're going to be decorating. They're going to have hats and bandanas and just doing little decorations for their wagon. We're really looking forward to it. So we've already identified that service for this upcoming year. And then the stock shows, we are still providing community tickets as well as admission, grounds admission. So going to the rodeo is not your thing. You will still, you can still request some tickets for grounds admission, just to be able to walk around and enjoy that space for family. And this is separate from the community day that they usually have on January 13th. Yeah. We just had a lot of really good activations for Trunk or Treat. I'm just really grateful for all of the partners that came together and really made it special. It was the first time that we've had live animals at the Trunk or Treat. So we were really excited that that was such a big hit, and we're hoping to continue to grow, having more partners and more community members attend.
That gorilla looks like one of your staff members.
Okay, so the gorilla, I don't know if anybody was there, when he fell over, we thought he had fallen for good. So we were all like panicking, running to him, thinking that he had fallen for good. But anyways, he ended up getting up and break dancing. I mean, big costume, everything. It was pretty fun to watch. But yeah, just a lot of activations. Our partnership with We Don't Waste. They brought 300 bags of food, and they gave out 300 bags of food. So hopefully next year it can be a continued support that we can have it at Trunk or Treat.
Was that Corey the gorilla?
No. Right? Yeah, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over.
Okay, I think it's back to me. Yeah. Okay, so our next item on the agenda, there's some, let me just read the chats for just a minute, because I think there was some responses to some questions that came up. I know it's close on the track here. There's the survey, final survey of the planning phase the link is there in the chat. And also more information about construction updates. There is a link there, and the sidewalk repair tracker is a link that is there. So you can go to the GES POP, Program of Projects website, and you'll see an interactive map on projects. Thank you. So we're going to jump into the next section. It's going to be the Equestrian Center and Hotel Task Force. And we've left a considerable amount of time for this discussion. I'm not able to see everybody out of the side of my eyes, so if you all would help me in just recognizing people who maybe have a hand up or up on the screen, somebody has their hand up. We'd really like to hear from everybody tonight. If you have a question or comment, please raise your hand, and so that I can, or somebody will help me recognize you. And that way we can make sure that everybody has time for comments. So Steve, I'm going to send it over to you.
Great, thanks. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Steve Nally with the National Western Center, and we are shifting into our dual purpose meeting, CAC and task force. So thanks for sitting through a long meeting with a ton of content. We're glad you're all here. And so let's dive into the Equestrian Center Hotel Housing Parking Garage project. I'm going to give a brief overview. There may be folks that are new to the project, and talk about our schedule for next month, as well as looking into 2026. Tonight, the discussion is going to be focused on hotel operations. We have representatives from Sage Hospitality, who will be the hotel operator. We also have representatives from McWinney, the hotel developer. And the two topics we want to cover are related to ideas that were generated originally when we initially kicked this project out from community members. This concept of promoting local businesses to hotel guests, and then discussing these mechanics of administering the CIF revenue. So these three categories: round up at points of sale, what's the experience of someone checking out of the hotel, and how's that 1% room night fee show up for them, and then the concept of fundraising days. We are hopeful that this is a really interactive discussion, and there are a lot of ideas flowing. Hoping to have some fun tonight, brainstorming what's possible around these categories. Okay, so here's the site. It's about 18 acres in the red line. This is on the west side of the campus. We have rotated the map, so the north is actually to the right. The river is off the top of the drawing. That's National Western Drive, 51st Avenue is the little street coming over the river up to the top right. You're seeing all the components of the equestrian center project. There's an arena, 4,500 seat arena. You see that oval, it's about a 300 by 150-foot floor, so big floor. And then there are stables, which are flexible, essentially big meeting space or expo halls. You're seeing these little gray boxes, which indicate a horse stable, but those are removable to provide flexibility for year-round activation. To the right of the equestrian center, kind of the bottom right, that L shape, that is the hotel, number 14. To the left of that is number 11, the Armor Administration Building. So there will be adaptive reuse of that building as well. Off to the far right is parking garage, number 20, standalone garage. Between the equestrian center and the garage is this direct connection, pedestrian and bike connection from 51st Avenue straight through the site, right to the future pedestrian bridge to get up and over to the commuter rail station, which is located at 48th, 49th and Brighton. To the very top of the map along National Western Drive, there's a community center. Number 22 is a greenhouse. And then off to the left, just left of that is the housing site. So just a quick overview of the site plan, all the aspects of the equestrian center projects. Here's the topics and schedule, things that we've covered. You guys have seen this before. Really seeking input tonight on promotion of local businesses and then how do we administer the CIF revenue. Next time we want to talk about this concept of preferential access to hotel and armor facilities and then ramping up for hotel jobs, apprenticeships, internships during operations of the hotel. So we're hoping to have that conversation next month on December 10th. And then looking forward into 26, we have a couple additional topics, public art process. And then we want to get into ideas around how is the community space booked? What does access look like? What kinds of licenses are necessary? If there's alcohol involved in community events, the things that we would have to work through together to make that the best space that it can be for the community. Okay, so I want to turn it over to Dean. Dean is with Sage Hospitality. Dean has some slides. And Dean, I think that the purpose of the presentation for Dean is for him to talk about what they do elsewhere in their hotel portfolio around concepts like this, to try to get the ideas flowing of what makes sense for this hotel on this site. Dean, you ready?
I'm ready. Thanks, Steve. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for making time. As Steve said, please feel free to jump in and interrupt. We hope this is a very collaborative conversation. I do have some slides to share, some background on who we are, and then, as Steve mentioned, some examples of use cases of other projects and examples and things we've done in Denver. Sage was founded over 40 years ago. We celebrated our 41st birthday back in March of this year. We are a Denver-based company that our two co-founders, Zach Newmeyer and Walter Eisenberg, are still the two largest stakeholders. And our whole philosophy is around, it's a purpose-led company with a focus and emphasis on enriching lives, whether that be the lives of our associates, our guests, or the communities in which our hotels and restaurants are located. I think Denver is a really good example, since we're based here, of showing some mixed-use projects where we have curated and formed partnerships and walk through that then can hopefully spark some ideas. We are a people-first business, and community is core to our projects and our development ethos. From a philosophy standpoint, in every project that we embark on, we set out to integrate local vendors, local partnerships. We have a lot of community activations That can be anything from neighborhood yoga and kind of free events to ticketed events as well for larger performers, etc. We have a lot of partnerships in Denver with local creatives, local chefs, and artists as well. And as we said, we try to treat our hotels as a centerpiece for the community. Walter always says that we want our hotels to be front of mind. If you have a friend coming into town, the hotel should be something that they feel is part of their community, and those lead to the most successful projects. I think Catbird and the Maven Hotel have really good examples that we wanted to draw upon, specifically for National Western to hopefully generate some ideas. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So Maven at Dairy Block, for those of you, this is located next to McGregor Square in lower downtown of Denver. That was developed in partnership between Sage and McWhinney as well. This is a full mixed-use district with ethos around makers and local craftsmanship. So as we were curating the tenants and the operators, we made a concerted effort to go local. No national tenants are in the Dairy Block besides Warby Parker. It's all local coffee roasters, retailers, or cuisines. And we think that seamless integration of those spaces really allows for the feel and the experience. We say, if you're only here in Denver for a day, you can still get a taste of Denver and what the city has to offer by experiencing the Dairy Block. I think Catbird's also another really good example. This is in the Rhino neighborhood. We have over 800 unique pieces of art that are all local artists in the hotel. We have a local program with a company called Root Down, which actually takes plants that are dying, and you give them your plants, they'll bring them back to life. And so all of the landscaping and planting that you'll see in Catbird is from that partnership. We also have a partnership with Tattered Cover Bookstore. So in the room in the back, there's kind of a reading library, and we actually have QR codes on the books that allow a guest to buy the book right up from their phone after experiencing it there. So I think there's maybe some parallels and some ideas to draw on there. We also did an artist in residency program. So on the landings of each elevator floors, there's a unique art mural, and those were commissioned through local Rhino artists. I also touched on some of, I think, the conversation in December, but we do have a local hiring emphasis and some career development and professional programs that we emphasize here in Denver, as well as our scholarship program with Metro State and the hotel school there. Raleigh and McGregor Square, I think also another good example of bringing in community. This is in partnership with the Rockies. We tend to do some large scale events in the courtyard space. And again, these can range from ticketed sales to nightly yoga. We do movie showings on the lawn that are free admission just for the neighborhood. So again, I think the goal for us is always trying to have energy and people going through, and that blend of local with hotel guests creates a really special environment for these surprise and delights. We also have a strong emphasis on the American Hospitality Program and Ready for America, which fosters hiring and training for refugees seeking a career in hospitality. and also significant training resources that we can jump into more detail in the next community meeting. The Oxford and Denver here, we have a partnership with Law's Distillery. The hotel is the most historic hotel in Denver, opening in 1894. So we have a special barrel of bourbon that you can only get at the Oxford Hotel. It's an 1894 Law's Distillery. We also have Urban Farmer Steakhouse, which curates all of our meat from local ranchers. Or Colorado-based ranchers. So that's a farm-to-table concept that we have that's part of the Oxford Hotel experience. And the last hotel I wanted to just highlight was our Spring Hill Suites at Metro State. I think this is a good example of serving a dual purpose of serving guests that are by Ball Arena or at MSU, Metro State University. As well as serving as an incubator for students that are studying a career in hospitality. We have an internship program and a rotational training program where they can work the front desk, engineering, housekeeping, sales, finance, and experience each of the different disciplines within hospitality. I think as Steve mentioned, we want it to be really a free-flowing dialogue and hopefully a conversation around, different partnerships or ideas that we could bring to National Western that really resonate with the community to make this a hyper-local place and community hub.
That's a question about the another hotel in your portfolio. So also in your portfolio is the Crawford Hotel at Union Station. Can you just talk about just in general that hotel, but also if there are any particular fees associated with that hotel because it's inside Union Station?
Yeah, that's a great point. So we do operate the Crawford at Denver Union Station. That was also developed in partnership with the McWhinney team. We have an active train station and a community hub of local partners and food and beverage operators that all coexist in that space. There's also a lot of good examples, I think, of programming events that happen in that great hall. You are right that we do have a special district overlay and a fee that's charged with staying at the Crawford. It is the public realm fee is what we call it. And really it's dollars collected that then go back investing into the renovation as well as maintenance of Union Station. So we do collect, that shows up on the guest folio. In addition to taxes, there's a kind of 1% gratuity and an explanation that explains that this goes back into investing in the historic train station and the benefit of the public around Union Station, landscaping, et cetera.
Thank you. Rebecca's waiting. Any other questions or comments up to this point?
I'm sorry to correct you, Mr. Dean, but there is no neighborhood called Rhino, to my knowledge. Statistical neighborhood.
That's a fair point, Alfonso. The Rhino District.
That was Alfonso. It was Alfonso. AE?
Thank you, Alfonso, and I was hoping, I tried to withhold myself, but I do want to put a spotlight on that too and ask you to literally change the content of the catbird one, but also to talk about what is needed for people coming in on development teams to be oriented to the understanding from the outset of what the neighborhood impacts are and how to keep the neighborhoods on the top of the marquee. And that will lead to more creative revenue sharing and all kinds of things. But yes, there is not a Rhino.
Understood.
Rhino is not a neighborhood.
We will make that change.
Other comments or questions?
One quick comment, Dean. You speak about, or you discuss or mention, or whatever dialogue you want to mention. You talk about MSU and then obviously University of Denver is not mentioned in that context. But the neighborhood workforce, how's that being integrated? Say that, for example, we have residents that aren't traditionally pursuing academic interest or degree at a community college level or four-year institution, being able allowed to be able to participate in these internships without formally going through a structured program.
Absolutely.
Dean, before you jump in, that's next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hold on,
I mean,
hold on.
don't wanna cut you off, Dean, but that's the purpose of next session.
Okay.
To get into all prepping for jobs at the hotel.
I'll hold off on that comment.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just say that, you know, I think one of the beautiful things about hospitality is you don't need a degree necessarily to be to have a career in that space, and it's really about the impact and the engagement and the desire for somebody to have that interpersonal skill and brighten a guest's day. So for us, you know, there's training we would provide before onboarding, but it doesn't necessarily have to go through an apprentice program. It's just something that we do offer.
One last comment. I know Danny Crawford personally before she passed away. It'd be nice, she was deeply involved in our community. She had a home down here in Global, as I'm sure you know. And she was particularly involved at Garden Place Elementary School. She was also personal friends with John Prosser, who was the dean of University of Colorado Design and Urban Planning. It'd be nice to see if we can get a scholarship in her honor to honor some of the students here in GES. Just keep that in the back of your mind. As we
Thank you
move
for that.
forward, or create a foundation.
Thank you for that idea. Dana holds a special place in our heart and Walter's heart, and I think that's a great suggestion to take back and think through.
Any other suggestions or comments? Yeah, Jen?
On this slide, it says support CIF fundraising mechanisms, and then under that it says contribute to the long-term sustainability of the National Western Center, which would sort of be akin to how the 1% fee, how you describe the 1% fee operates at the Crawford Hotel. But our understanding when we went through the Equestrian Center process with City Council is that the 1% fee would go into the already existing community investment fund to be. So why does the slide say that?
Yeah. Dean, you can answer. I have an interpretation of that too.
No, I go ahead, Steve.
The way I read that is the more successful the National Western is, and the more business we're generating, the more opportunity there is to put money into the CIF. The more roundup, the more heads in beds, the more active we are, the more people are paying the 1%. That's my interpretation of that, that's what we need to be successful long-term, to sustain us long-term. But the CIF also needs that too, for us to continue to make big contributions and grow the contributions.
Sorry, regarding the CIF, is this possible that they can share with us how much money they're raising or what they're doing with that money?
It's on the website.
It's on the website?
It's publicly available.
So, I mean, our role for the framework agreement is to try to generate as much revenue possible for the CIF. And just explore other, so there's the roundup and trying to get that as big as we can. But also to pursue other sources, and that's kind of what some of those CIF categories are. The 1% fundraising day, and we explore this with every single contractor that we have when trying to find other ways to get more money into the CIF. But that's our role in this and funding the CIF. But you have representatives here from the CIF if we want to talk about what the money is used for, but I'm hoping we can stick to the hotel and its ability to contribute to this fund.
I have a quick question. Sorry, just kind of like procedure wise. Are we gonna like go bullet point by bullet point, or is it kind of just like open discussion right now?
Yeah, so thanks for that. Dean, did you have any, this is your last slide?
really just was, I thought, open discussion and dialogue.
So these are examples of things that Sage does elsewhere, different contexts, different hotels. I want to shift now to the hotel at the National Western Center and think about what's possible there. What we have heard so far, if I can go back to my slide, Dean.
Yep.
Sorry for jumping
I'll
around
stop
here.
sharing. Yep.
Couple of things. We've heard more than this, but this is really focused on these categories as it relates to hotel operations. Promotion of local businesses was an idea that came up initially. What does that mean? Does that mean there's some type of material in the room? When you check in, you have something there in the room telling you about local businesses, or there's showcasing a restaurant or whatever it may be. Discounts or partnerships to promote local businesses, local GES businesses. Is there a QR code or some type of is there some type of signage or something that is showcasing a business? So that's related to local businesses. There's also just promoting the community itself, community history, telling story of GES, and then promotion of local art or artists, and that kind of category of promoting the neighborhood. So I want to stop there, talk about that topic, and generate some more ideas and get some input from folks on, is there more to this list? Are we missing something? And then we can go to the next category, if that's all right, getting into the CIF stuff.
Just a comment is that remember when we started out way back a couple summers ago, one of the things that was very, very helpful in creating that 167 item list, 275, sorry, 275 item list was your ideas. And what that resulted in was a lot of what you see today in terms of the different spaces. And now what I hear Steve saying is that if you could just throw out ideas, we don't know what will stick and what won't stick, but if we don't hear the idea, they're not going to be able to, Dean and others will not be able to think about them. So here was some initial ideas, and Dean gave some initial ideas on that Sage is already doing in other hotels. But if you have ideas that would help them sort of in the brainstorm, think about how Sage can work with community in a variety of different ways. Sandra?
Are you gonna do like a process like you did with the Equestrian Center, like having meetings? Because, I mean, we're just a few residents here, and I think if you do it like you did with the Equestrian Center, just doing meetings in different neighborhoods for those ideas. And is it gonna be like the process with the Equestrian Center that you started doing those meetings every month? So we can shape the whole thing of the hotel? Or you're doing it differently and you just wanna do it fast and just throw your ideas right now and we're gonna do it? I mean, cause I feel like if we're talking about the neighborhood, there's 3 neighborhoods. It's not GES a neighborhood. We have 3 different neighborhoods. It's 3 different communities that should give their ideas on what they want. I know most of us want opportunities, want jobs, but probably someone wants something different. So are you gonna do the process again, like the Equestrian Center? Because I feel like that will be more transparent and more, ¿cómo se dice la palabra? Accountable, that we do meetings with more people, not just us in this meeting, because not everyone is from GES, and I'm not saying that's bad, it's okay, but we need more voices, not just us here in this meeting.
Understood. No, our plan is not to go out and do a big community public meeting effort like we did it initially. Like when we kicked this project off, we did flyers, you said it, we did a bunch of public meetings in different neighborhoods to try to generate as many ideas and interests to help inform these topics, also to help inform this task force. And the task force is the group that is really focused on continuing to provide input as we step through this. And so that's the intent of the discussion tonight, is to try to what is promoting local businesses mean to our task force, the folks in the room and online. Are these things that, this is what we've heard so far, are these things that make sense? Are there other ideas? And it's really focused around just promotion to hotel guests. I mean, it is a pretty isolated, pretty focused topic that we want to try to get input on.
Yeah, I would say, Steve, that Sandra's right. Like for the design of Equestrian Center, we've done a lot of workshops and details around the community center. The beauty of the hotel operations is that we will have the 3-year construction period to continue to engage with community. And as the hotel sort of comes out of the ground on the construction side, it really generates a lot of interest and a lot of excitement that we're on our way to opening a hotel. And I think that'll be wonderful. Throughout the construction, we'll be engaging with the community anyway to give them construction updates. And so I think it will be a part of that we continue to engage about sort of the operations of the hotel, and there'll be sort of a dedicated effort in the 12 to 18 months leading up to hotel operations in relation to jobs and internships and apprenticeships. And so there certainly will be a lot more engagement and opportunity as we go along the journey.
Before you jump in, Shannon, I will say though that there is some urgency to try to establish the framework and the rules of the road, because we're negotiating an agreement. And we have to negotiate and finish that agreement before any of this happens. So that is the urgency around this. To try to, we don't have to have everything, and it doesn't have to say you must use QR codes. But if there is a goal, to Bianca's point, of ongoing collaboration around promoting local businesses and checking in to see how it's going, and KPIs, key performance indicators on how the operator is doing around these categories, that now's the time to talk about that, because that's what we can get into agreements.
So when you talk about local businesses,
Let's
sorry.
go over to Shannon and then to you. Okay.
Thank you. I think this question is for you, Dean, because to the point of the agreement, it would come from Sage. So I want to jump to the bullet point about the fundraising days, because it says fundraising days, but then underneath it says volunteer day. And I suppose this is a 2-part question, but just first part is, again, during the city council negotiations for the Equestrian Center and hotel funding, we were quoted, just to give some examples, that the first year, 2028, we would get $4,500, $4,658, $4,821 from our fundraising day. But now this bullet point is saying that it's a volunteer day. So can you?
I can respond to that. It's my slide. That is something that we've heard related to a fundraising day, but the intent is to raise funds for CIF. We heard that, so sorry, this is a confusing slide. We've also heard, hey, could there also be a volunteer day? Because we have a lot of service providers in the community. Could it be a Sage associated volunteer day in addition to, or as one of, to continue to spread the support for what's needed in the community?
Okay.
So in the agreement, there will be with them that they have not seen yet, but they will. There is requirements that they have certain fundraising days that they will be required to do and meet. These are in addition to potential ideas. So they will have fundraising requirements. The dean and Bianca will be required to meet to the authority. And then these are other ones, to Steve's point, that are like other ideas, like volunteer days and stuff like that. They have fundraising requirement days to have.
If that's gonna be in the agreement, then to that point, one of the things that we have been able to negotiate with SSA is that there will now be basically like a floor for the roundup. So SSA has said, They will guarantee $200,000 a year over the next 5 years. And then we get anything above that, we, the community investment fund. So could we put in the development agreement a floor? Because again, what was guaranteed in the negotiation process with city council is that over these 37 years, the CIF would get $9 million. But it's not technically guaranteed because these are roundup dollars. But if we could put in the development agreement a floor that Sage has to meet, that would give us a guaranteed income stream. Could that go into the agreement?
Yeah, just to be clear, we negotiated with SSA for the true up. And it's not 200,000 a year, it's 200,000 a year in later years, so just to clarify. And that is, if they exceed that roundup, great. But if they don't get there with purely roundup, then they will true up to a cap. That's something that we were able to negotiate with SSA. This is around requirements for fundraising. What are we wanting them to do? What does it look like?
I'm thinking you switched gears though, on fundraising into a different floor roundup thing, right?
No, I suppose I am switching gears slightly, which is to get a guaranteed cap. And I know you're trying to redirect us to.
Guaranteed base.
Yeah, a guaranteed
Minimum.
base. And this is essentially the only space that we have to negotiate these types of things because we don't get to be at the negotiation table for the development agreement. So I am switching gears a little bit to what I feel like is the most important thing for us. But yeah, a guarantee base, and could that be inside the development agreement?
So there's an idea that we can take back, and I'm gonna switch to Sandra.
I forgot what I was gonna say, sorry.
You said KPI.
I have some questions.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Kind of a couple of layers, but with the history, I'm curious about how honest and transparent you guys are wanting to be with the history of the community and the harm that has been done from this campus. And if that could be told in a clear and tactful way, maybe having a QR code or something where people could then be like, oh, my heart, and then contribute to the CIF. You know, to have that like in the pamphlet or something in rooms when people are staying or dining or whatever's happening. So I guess that's kind of two questions. And then the other is for the local businesses, how do you plan on reaching out to local businesses? Because it's not as simple as just, hey, here's a Manuel's. But like there's individuals too, like within the community that don't necessarily get a call, like, hey, do you want to be included in this thing that we're doing? Are you gonna survey, canvas? What's your reach out gonna be like?
Yeah, it's a good question. Dean, what do you typically do around your other hotels you mentioned a lot of local providers. What does your process typically look like?
Yeah, so typically with in partnership with Stage Studio, our design development group, we would go in and we would survey the market, and we would seek feedback from groups like yourself, take the feedback from the meetings as Bianca outlined that would continue to go on, and really try to identify those local businesses that if you are experiencing the neighborhood in Denver, you have to go try. And so it's really just a lot of surveying and community engagement exactly like this. That it's a boots on the ground kind of grassroots strategy to each project. And we try to think through the overall ethos and history and context of the site as well. And I think not forgetting history is important. And so I think it's a interesting idea and interesting suggestion to take back to if there's some way to honor the history and then hopefully contribute as well. Those are, I think, the ideas we're looking for to kind of pull through the brand story and experience.
I guess my concern though is like, what does your history sound like? What is?
Doesn't have to be his history.
It's not, yeah,
That's what I mean, like, we want our history
it's
presented.
it's
and
the
there's a
neighborhood.
conflict.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, it would
Right,
be.
can we translate that to say we want the history? So these are ideas, and so it's a history of,
Through
an
the eyes
accurate history of the area.
of the
isn't-
local residents.
Of local residents, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't say sure, I don't know where to say that, but just as an idea. Thank you, just to translate it up here.
We do have AE.
Well, I'm gonna go to Sandra, and then I'm gonna go to AE.
I have a question.
And Alfonso, okay.
So like with this new projects and everything, and there's gonna be more funding for the CIF, is it possible that you guys can also add some funds so the CIF can have monthly community meetings for residents to attend? And that way we also shape more of the CIF, like what I always say here in the National Western, residents need to be part of all the steps and how to say, I don't know, the steps that you're doing with the projects in the National Western, we also want to be part of the CIF. But if there's no funding to do those community meetings, is it possible that you can support them so they can have monthly community meetings, so residents can come to those meetings and decide what we want to see as the CIF grows more and gets more funding, because that's another very important part that residents need to know about the CIF and how can they apply and all those steps. But if the CIF doesn't have any support, we need to support them so we can have those community meetings. Because I know myself, I want to have a community meeting every month with the CIF to see how everything's going. And I know many residents want to have also a community meeting. Is there also a possibility that can the National Western support the CIF? Or it has to be from the funding that the CIF is getting to do those community meetings?
So another idea.
Yeah, I mean, my just initial reaction is, I think that is a CIF decision. I think if we were to hold money back, hold CIF dollars back so that the CIF could host meetings, that would be less money for the CIF. And so I think that that's more of a question for you guys. Not, I mean, because we're gonna give you as much as we can raise.
So I'm gonna put this in the sort of suggestion phase for everybody, okay?
I can just really quickly, if you.
Can I just go to AE and then I'll go to you? Oh,
Yeah.
you want to respond?
Just really quickly, I appreciate that comment, Sandra. And regardless of like earmarking it or not, like the CIF is committed to that. We're having more conversations about not just like public meetings, but like more technical support for people to actually like plan for projects and be able to execute them, be able to find other resources and like get checked in with. So like that, if they have a really cool business idea or a grant project idea, that there's like this loading up period that we're talking about creating where they get help to put a plan together, right? If they've never applied for a grant before, they've never done a project on their own, that's the other type of support that we want to do on top of more public intervention as well. But I did want to say that that's like a commitment that the CIF has, whether there's earmarked dollars specifically by the National Western or not, like that's a value and principle that the CIF carries.
Can I just add to Sandra's comment?
No, wait, because there, a lot of people
No,
don't.
just as one, 2, 3 seconds.
Okay.
I think what Sandra's saying here is that she's looking for structure to what Alfonso's saying. There has to be a structure in terms of the CIF, like a nonprofit organization. You have a board, you have that type of accountability in terms of a structure where you can implement these concepts.
There is a structure, Armando. We could take that conversation outside of this room because we should respect other people.
No, I understand that, but where's the structure and where's the board of directors?
We can talk about that if you want.
No,
Outside of
talk
the meeting
about
and
She put it
respect
on the-
other people's
No, she put on.
input.
I'm not debating that. Go ahead.
Okay, we're gonna go to AE, then we're gonna go to Alfonso, and then we're gonna go to Rebecca. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so I think that it would, okay, okay, I'm just gonna bullet a couple things and ask Dean especially to respond, and Steve. Steve, when you say these things have to be decided because the negotiations are going on and the agreement has to be made, I'd like us to ask the question, cannot this just be the gate opener and the placeholder like the the roundup was just a placeholder to create a mechanism for the principle of creating revenue toward the community investment fund, et cetera. I'm a little bit skittish to think that we have to come up, we meaning the collective, we, all of us, have to come up with something that's closed door. That I think Sage Hospitalities is completely capable of working developmentally over time for more and more ideas and for broadening it. And I think part of the discussion I'm hearing now is important how something is being done, not just what it is on the list, including the history that people are talking about, including defining local artist residencies, including what is being discussed around the various other things that flow from the relationship. And I myself would like to introduce the possibility of Sage and the general team considering dedicated staff that is part of the relationship structure between the project and the neighborhood. Dedicated staff within Sage Hospitalities, with the priorities being bringing in a cluster of interns and staff from within the Global Elyria Swansea neighborhoods that specifically responds to creating engagement and accountabilities and reporting, and helping to facilitate conversations around how do we do the amazing thing like represent the history of the GS communities, which, by the way, was something that was discussed as things that should be in the ambiance of the entire campus. A lot of things, that's one of the reasons artifacts and various things were kept back, but that's another discussion. I think the CIF does have a good structure. I've looked at it very closely, seen the components. I think burdening one organization or another with the full relationship of advancing comprehensive engagement, looping in feedback and creative ideas with the neighborhoods is not something that should fall on one organization, but should involve all organizations. So anyway, I'd like to suggest the possibility of developing dedicated staff and put some thought into that. And I would like to ask if we can reframe this a little bit, instead of the pressure being that we have to come up with a list and this is our only opportunity. I think there is that danger of it being administered or engineered that way, but I really don't think it's necessary, and I think it's misleading. So for your consideration.
Yeah, I think it's a good point and good feedback, AE, in that we certainly don't want to hold back Sage and say you only have to do this short list of things and we have to create that list right now. I think one thing on the list, what I'm hearing from you is that we need to let Sage do their thing over the term of this entire deal and continue to work with the community and leave the door open for that conversation to keep happening with the community. That is something that we can require, and that is related to kind of these key performance indicators of ongoing success of this relationship that will exist for it's a 35-year deal. I mean, this is a long-term relationship we're entering into. So,
Steve, I must flip the script on that a little bit. I wouldn't use the words let Sage do their thing, and I would say let us all continue to be engaged, get the foundation. Get the foundation and be creative with it. I'm not interested about the 35 years. I'm interested in people's immediate lives. This has already been 10 years, but et cetera. This is none of this is animosity. This is just real concern that we don't stifle creativity by bureaucratizing the relationship here. But I think that let's prime the pump, get the mechanism. There's a lot of things Sage Hospitality could do that wouldn't cost them much over time, that would be fully engaging. I think it's really critical how things are being done. What is formed as Sandra's addressed outreach and in engaging people. So have several other people. But that needs, and structure is a relationship thing, not just a hierarchical thing. And so the content of the relationships has to be formed by I would suggest that Sage do dedicated staff, and that there be some open discussion in the neighborhoods about how that can become educational and career development and all kinds of things. There's a lot of unanswered potential in a lot of aspects of the whole project for that.
I would just jump.
Dean shaking his head, nodding yes, and so we'll keep it really short, Dean, because we have two other people who were before.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, you know, in terms of, I view that community history and the storytelling as a collaborative effort, and we would start with kind of a visioning session to that. To Bianca's point, it is iterative, and we certainly don't want to stifle any creativity. I think that evolves all the way from today to the time we open our doors in terms of what those specific partnerships are. As it relates to dedicated, I think it's an excellent point. Something I should have highlighted in our deck. You know, we are assuming that we'd have a dedicated programming and activations and community manager. And we can think through when that person comes on board to kind of lead these initiatives in a collaborative way. But that is something we do, and I think a good emphasis and focus for a project like this as well.
Thank you, Dean. Alfonso?
Thank you. My question is kind of a bigger picture to help me understand how to be able to talk to this about it with other people, but like, because I looked at that one of those first slides about like what the kind of like what those buildings will all look like, and they're like connected to each other, right? Kind of. So that's kind of my question. It's like when I looked at that map that you showed earlier, if you could bring it up again, yeah, that one. Like the hotel is connected to the equestrian center.
It's next to it.
It's next to, okay, so that's kind of like the clarifying piece. Cause like when I'm hearing Mr. Dean speak about like creating kind of like not like these private spaces, but like this interconnectedness, like does that mean that the hotel and the lobby is connected to the livestock to the equestrian center in some shape or form? Like how is the design being like interpreted so that these things are coexisting and they're not just like stuck together like Legos that don't live together? If that makes sense, because and the reason I asked that question is maybe it's too early on in the design. You're probably not even really talking pre-development yet, but like
We are.
you are okay. So like how much retail space will be in the hotel? Like will there be like a little coffee bar? Will it be like, because then that means a different sort of opportunity to give and provide feedback on like the sort of businesses that should be connected. So like an opportunity like to start their business there or to move or, you know, franchise, I don't know, franchise isn't the right word, but like to move their business into that space if there's gonna be retail space available that is community serving or, you know, that is giving first right of refusal to a business. I don't know, I don't wanna get into that, but like help me understand that a little bit more. You kind of already answered that question, some of those questions, Steve, but the last thing is like, what's like, I'm kind of having to assume here that the hotel is following the form of like this Western equestrian heritage to like produce the design of your hotel, Mr. D, or is it that you're gonna like start like with like the history and kind of like this task or this visioning process that guides the form and the design of your hotel? Like, which is it? Are you following kind of like the National Western Equestrian Center heritage, or is it going to be led by like this visioning process related to the broader history of the neighborhood?
It's an astute observation. I would say that we start with visioning first, and how can we create a cohesive experience, and what are those through lines? It doesn't have to be physical as much as it does the connected tissue of the brand, the ethos, and the experience. I think we're just at the early stages and onset of kicking off what that looks like. But to that exact question, I think Maven and the Dairy Block is a really good example where when we started on that project, we said, what is the history? What's the story? And that was an old lumber yard and sawmill manufacturing and obviously a milk market as well. So we took this idea of maker and local craftsmanship, and that was the ethos that kind of spills through Dairy Block. We don't have any kind of hard walls dividing retail and hotel and office. So that's just an example of what we did there, starting with vision first. I believe that that's exactly where we want to start this project as well, is what's that connective tissue. There will obviously be some pillars of, the Western elements to it, but we also want to pull through the local heritage and story, because that to us is what creates lasting experience.
To respond to a couple of your other questions, there is an access point near the hotel into the stables. But it is not like you're walking into the lobby, which is just a bunch of horses. So, they are separate buildings, for many reasons, fire code, building code, things like that. It's just easier to build. But also that the hotel can be more of a campus asset versus just an equestrian center asset. Can be a neighborhood asset as opposed to just an equestrian center asset. Dean, can you answer? I can do a decent job at it, but can you answer the kind of the first floor offerings as far as restaurant, retail, bar? What's the first floor experience
And
like?
the flex space, the requirements for flex space on the first floor, or the retail
Yeah.
flex space.
And rooftop.
Yeah, so I know the program has been evolving, in the last, and I think there's some kickoff meetings to
Sure, yeah.
move
Some of
forward.
the conceptual thinking so far.
Yeah, on the conceptual side, we've talked about having a market or some sort of community engagement space with maybe local tenants, a food hall of sorts, some sort of restaurant or dining experience, a lobby bar, and some sort of rooftop amenity as well. And some sort of beverage and potentially food program up there. But I think the early iteration has been more of a bar outlet or lounge outlet.
Hey, I just want to.
Just one, yeah, it's very helpful. Just one last question on the same thread. I think when I'm thinking about, I really appreciate the comments about, like, we need like targeted outreach if you're talking about like what sort of support do local businesses and the promotion need. So I would like to really see that, but also like on the other side of that, like I also like Sage to bring in their expertise or bring in, through your capacity, like what works to help promote businesses. Like, is it like, do QR codes like not work at all? Like, why? Because I don't want to like sit here
Yeah.
like some of the other folks have said, and it's like, yeah, let's offer QR. And if it doesn't work, then like, why do it? And also like the other side is like, what do the businesses in the neighborhoods need?
Great question. I think like we say, one of our big points internally is always that everything communicates. Everything from the art to your in-room amenities. So it can be a number of things, but where I think it can be most successful is having these different surprises and delights. For example, at McGregor Square at the Raleigh Hotel, we have a partnership with the brewery there, Great Divide Brewery. And so we have a brewery or a special beer that you get at check-in. And then we have an amenity package that highlights local business. We could have, highlight artists through the halls with rotating art. I think where we can provide kind of big touch points and kind of direct on the nose, but then also these subtle integrations of the community. Those are where we've, I think, seen the most success. And echo, I think, the point on bringing our expertise. And I think one of the ideas and thoughts we had was, could there be local farmers markets or things that we could bring that, again, really help to create energy on the weekends and different times of year than just the hotel guests that are passing through it. But it's a great point.
Thank you, Dean. Rebecca has been very patient. So Rebecca, please, go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So just a couple of things, not really any questions, just a couple of statements. I do love the fact that you will consider highlighting businesses. Like what was mentioned before is trying to make sure that you are outreaching to local businesses that don't necessarily have like a mom and pop shop, but they do offer services in the community. So I think keeping that in the back of your mind, not everybody has an actual business. I run my business out of my home. So that's just kind of something to think about. But I do love the idea of like, showcasing an artist or, having kind of like an amenity package featuring some of these local businesses. I think that is very important, is to keep that inclusive in what you guys are doing. The other statement is more towards the SIF. I feel like there's such a kind of frustration through the whole SIF process. And I feel like it's more that the residents don't feel like it's a community-led program. It's felt in the community as more of an organization-led. So that's kind of maybe some things for the SIF to kind of think about is not, I don't feel like most residents are looking for like, hey, here's an application. You can, sign up to get a vote in the process. I think what they're looking more for is how are we involved at the top process, things that are working in the background. I feel like it's more the community wants to be involved in that part, not just in, hey, you can apply for the SIF. Hey, you can apply, fill out an application for the voting process. I think it's more of like, how can we, we as Globeville, Elyria, and Swansea be more a part of the top part to where it doesn't feel like it's an organization-led grant, that it is, in fact, how it's presented, a community-led grant. So that's all I wanted to say. And thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. And do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, so we have 2 more minutes and we've talked a lot about promotion of local businesses and our thought process there and what should come in the future and continue to be discussed through the term of the deal. We did not get into, we talked a little bit about CIF, but we didn't get into specific mechanics of Roundup and the room night fee, and talked a little bit about fundraising days, but I think there's more discussion to have there. And so let's continue this conversation at our December meeting. And we'll keep the CAC agenda shorter. I'm just kidding, but I think there's a lot to discuss here. And so let's keep the conversation going next month. We also want to talk about jobs around the hotel, and Dean and potentially someone else from Sage will be able to join Dean at our next meeting. He was going to be here in person, but his flight was delayed, so he's stuck, not Denver. So we hope he's here in person next time, and we'll continue to talk about these topics.
Is there time to quickly put a couple agenda items on for the next meeting?
Just one moment. Just one moment.
Sorry, I should
Go
have
ahead,
tried
Brandon.
the first half of the meeting, but I just want to make a quick plug for a couple of focus points events coming up on the horizon.
Can we wait just 1 minute?
Yeah,
Brandon, and then-
absolutely, yeah. I'm just gonna put it in the chat.
Okay, so Brandon put some information about what focus points.
Basically, we are going to be receiving a distribution of toys from Toys for Tots. We're prioritizing residents from 80216 to 80205 to receive that. If they want to sign up, the link is in there. We need volunteers to help with that event, so details are on that. Email or reach out if you're interested. We also have older adults holiday Posada celebration December 11th. Details are in the chat, so need more information.
Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate it.
Sorry, I just also wanted to mention a typo that I made. This is intended to be residencies, not actual residences. So just to clarify, that's a big difference. And I want to make sure that that's clear. That's my bad. It was just a typo.
Okay, AE, you want to take us home?
Yeah, a couple, I was hoping that we could discuss this a little tonight, but no time, and that's fine. Number one, can the authority address the parking? I'm watching a couple of the lots being sold off, and there's some configuration. I think we're still gonna have the Franklin lot, but I think out of respect for the neighborhoods, if we can have a little bit of an advance update on the parking for the stock show, and I'm saying this friendly, in friendly way. And then secondly, Brad, it's public knowledge that you're transitioning it.
Brad left.
Well, okay, then, all right, so just,
Let it rip,
okay.
he's not here.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, but it's of general interest anyway. I have not seen any public movement to recruit or find a new director for the National Western Center Authority. And I'm wondering about that process. It was a very engaged process when Brad was hired years ago, over numerous months, a lot of public discussion and a lot of meeting the neighborhood. And I'm hoping it's not a musical chairs thing. So can we address what the timeline is on that? He's been nominated to go back to community planning and development. So I'm hoping it's not just musical chairs, that we can have a public process. Can we get an update on that next week or next meeting? Or
Sure, yeah, no problem. We'll have Brad update that for next time.
And maybe just see a parking plan.
You want a parking plan during stock show, from stock show?
Well, there's going to be a shift. There's a change of parking territory. I don't know how significant. I keep running into conversations with people that are right adjacent to the stock show parking areas over in Elyria and different things. I don't know if Lot O has been sold, or I think the Franklin. I just want, we can talk, let's cut it for now. I'll talk to you more about it. But I think that understanding the parking dynamic in the neighborhoods with these shifts and things that are going on, I think it's just a big unknown. So
Thank you.
there are some lots that sometimes people use to create revenue, and I don't know if that's going to be possible. But let's just table it for now because we're out of time, and just consider it something to clear up later, okay?
Thank you, everybody. We're about 2 minutes over. Thank you, everybody, for hanging in there, and also for the good ideas, because there were many of them that came forward, and also looking forward to the discussion next month on the CIF, and sort of all of the related topics around that and the roundup. And I just want to wish everybody a good holiday with or without lights. Thank you.